Hi, and welcome everyone tuning in live and or watching the replay. My name is Robin Forster, and I am with Feel So Alive and also Feel So Alive Informed. And I wanted to just tell you a little bit about this program. First of all, we always try something new. It kind of seems to never fail. And today we're trying to go live to YouTube and also Facebook. So keep your fingers crossed. And I'll be looking down every now and then to check to see, are we really doing those things? Because who knows? So let me tell you a little bit about the program that we're doing today. We have two different speakers, and we do this program twice monthly. And we always have first a healer, because I feel like we all kind of need a little bit of help in that arena. And also we have a professional who is sharing business tips with us for small businesses. And this program got started, and I'm looking down at my notes just in case you're wondering what's going on. If you're wondering how this program got started, my mentor Jasmine Starr one day in one of our groups said, go do a Facebook Live. And I went, oh, okay. I'm up for trying something new and different, and so I did. I went and did a Facebook Live, and it was actually kind of fun. I enjoyed it. And then COVID hit, and I realized that a lot of small businesses and folks who used to work in an office weren't really ready and prepared to be working from their home, kitchen table, couch, those kinds of things. So what I wanted to do, my gift to the universe and into our world, was to share the information that everyone needed, small business folks needed, to be able to function. And that's how this got started. And so what I do is I have the healer on for 10 minutes and then the business person for 10 minutes. And that's how the program runs. And we all know, and also a lot of my intent was not to only share information, which is important because I'm always curating information, but also I wanted to help people on their journey to a healthier lifestyle and to a more abundant business, because that's kind of an issue right now, as you all know. So that was part of what was important, my intent behind doing this program. And we all know there's a lot going on in the world right now. So before we get started, what I would like to ask, wherever you are, unless you're driving, let's just take about 20 seconds and let's try to fill the planet with white healing light, or positives, or prayer, whatever it is for you to connect with the universe. And let's see if we can't just send lots of good vibes to the planet and everyone living on it. So let's go ahead and take about 20 seconds now, and I'll bring us back. And you can close your eyes if that's comfortable and safe, and if not, just lower your gaze would be fine. But let's see if we can't send some good vibes. And let's come back together. I don't know about you all, but I really felt that one coming out of my heart, and I hope that you were able to do that also. And if not today, when you get a chance, would be a good thing. Okay, so let's get on with the program. I'll tell you about our healer who is coming up first. Today our healer is Laureli Shimayo, and our business tips are coming from Amy Friedman of Workflow Impact. And looking at my notes and after the interviews, I think you're going to be surprised at the tips and gifts that both of these women give us. So stay tuned to the whole program so you can hear that. And Laureli is a leadership, life, and love coach, an intuitive eye reading, and that's how I first met her. Was she gave me a really brief eye reading, and I was so surprised at the information that she shared with me about me, and she didn't know me. It was really nice. It was very strengthening for me. I appreciated that. But anyway, so what she helps people do, she facilitates people uncovering great opportunities, solving big challenges, and transforming to rapidly manifest what they truly want. And she has a number of different techniques that she uses. But let's go ahead and bring her on so you can hear from her in our interview. Hi, I'm Robin Forster with Feel So Alive and Feel So Alive Informed, and I have a special guest healer today, and I'm really excited for her to share with you her gifts. And Laureli, why don't we just jump right into it? You can tell us a little bit about yourself. Oh, and I'm going to be looking down at my notes because I have questions for you. Okay, because I want to make sure that we get to them. But if you would tell us a little bit about yourself, because your history of where you are now and where you started is really different paths.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you, Robin. I'm so happy to be here. I have such an unusual pathway. I never would have imagined it for myself. So today, I'm a life leadership and love coach. I'm an intuitive. I do intuitive eye readings. And I also run metaphysical and wellness fairs throughout the Northwest and online. So I mostly work with people, individuals, partners, teams. I do hiring work with businesses, leadership work, matchmaking. I love people, and my aim is to have people be authentic and be true to who they are and to express that in all areas of their life and all that they do. Make great choices about what to do and who to do it with.
Oh, that's excellent. That's so important. And it seems like that's so easy. It's almost like an ether. It's easy for those things not to be part of our life, right?
You said like it's easy to not have them be there? Or what
Yeah.
do you?
Yeah, to not have
Well,
them be there. So that's where your skills are so important because they just sometimes kind of fall away. We don't even realize it, right?
well, well, I think our society teaches us that hard work is what has value. So if we follow what's hard, we don't do what's easy and natural. We're not sharing what's authentic. We're attempting to fit ourselves, into someone else's box. And so we're taught that everywhere. We're encouraged to do that. And so we're taught to be unconscious.
Ah, yeah, very, very good point. Um, so can you tell us a little bit about the education that you had? I was just fascinated about some of the colleges that you attended and looking at where you are now.
Sure, it's great. I started off in science. I studied genetics and molecular biology at Berkeley and Caltech, and did work in medicine and agriculture. And I really didn't appreciate much of how those fields worked. I didn't quite know what I wanted to do. I actually studied art for a while and did science in art, and then ended up working in the intellectual property field for a while. So I'm a patent agent, so I've also done all kinds of IP work, and eventually worked in really big businesses and then worked in entrepreneurial businesses. And my interest in people that had been there all along finally reemerged. I thought about going back to grad school for psychology. And instead I found a teacher that does work similar to my intuitive eye readings, study with somatic psychotherapists, and I blended this all together. So I call it body psychology. So really I'm looking at all kinds of aspects of the body, of our posture, our gestures, so how we hold ourselves, how we move. When we get an itch, 95% of the time it means something about our psychological emotional state. And then in people's eyes, I look at all kinds of patterns in people's eyes to be able to have a sense of what they might naturally value and contribute. And I think we all do this all the time as humans. Science has finally identified mirror neurons, where we can see what parts of our brain enables us to help see and understand what's going on with other people. And so I'm able to grasp that in a more tangible way. So I think of myself as a people scientist or a personality scientist, where I'm,
Fascinating.
just really wanting to support people to understand themselves better and others better and understand their choices. So you get a sense so everyone can feel this. If you meet someone with dark sunglasses, or like if you were interviewing someone on the show that had dark sunglasses and you couldn't see their eyes, there'd be so much missing. And as soon as you see their eyes, there's so much more there. So there's so much we all take in. So we don't realize that when we go to date, we choose people based on their eyes in ways that we don't understand. When we hire people, right, all kinds of, who is going to be our friend and who not. We all get a sense about people of who we're scared of and who we're attracted to, and all those things based on eyes. So I help make that clear and explicit for people so we can make conscious choices that support us and others.
Wow, that is just fascinating how you've pulled these things together and in a way that makes sense. And I don't know if you remember or not, but we had a chat a while ago, and you were doing an eye reading on me, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was very amazing because we were talking about other things and went down that rabbit hole, which I really appreciated. And one of the things that you were telling me, and I wish that I had the correct words, but it was something about how I don't know what other words to use, that I'm a questioner and that I'm looking for more information, and you said that, and it just gave me a lot of strength, because I have always been like that. It's hardwired. I don't have a choice. That's just, and so many people don't understand that. And so they think I'm being, antagonistic. It's like, no, no, I have to ask a question. I don't have a choice. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to thank you for giving me that information. And it was like, oh, so it's okay for me to be who I am?
Right, right.
Yeah, that was
Well, you
just
think
so.
we are who we are. And, so if you think about the eyes, we know the phrase eyes are a window to the soul. So we have our own soul, and our soul, to me, is different than our parents' souls. We've inherited some body from them, and we grow up with whoever our parents are, but our soul is our soul. And so our parents, doing the best they can, they don't know how to recognize us as who we are. And so they teach us what worked for them. They want us to do better than they did. And so we have our soul, and then they're like kind of lumping things over the top. I call these masks. And so we all learn to do what our parents value, to do what society values, that whole hard work thing. And, various people in different areas of the country with different local cultures or just expectations of different genders, we're all taught to be particular ways. And it's not true of our soul, our essence. And so I'm aiming to help people get in touch with their soul, their essence, and trust that. So you and I have a talent in common. One of the traits that I look at are talents. There are 7, and each person has 3. And you and I have a talent in common called scholar. Scholars are about learning and understanding, building maps of information together to build knowledge, to grow wisdom, right, and to share the knowledge that we have. So of course, like, you have notes because you want to get it right, and you ask people questions because you want to know and you want to share information with other people. So it's just naturally what you do, what I do too.
That was perfect. Thank you. And what a perfect segue into the last piece. Our last question is the gifts and talents that you have, that you were just talking about. What are some things that you can pass on to the folks who are going to see this on the replay? Because we are in kind of weird times. The energy is a little wonky, to put it mildly. So what are some things that folks can do to help themselves?
Great. So one of them comes directly from just what we shared. So look in your life about where you might be doing something you think you should do, where you do something that feels hard or challenging, or just that shoulding, just you've exhausted from it. And what are the things you really want to do? And we might be taught that this is selfish and we shouldn't do it. Like, what do you really want to do? Where do you feel energy? Look for the places where you actually make a contribution to others, where you feel energy and it's easy. And I want to encourage you that chances are these things really do make a contribution. We often just assume that people are all like us. We don't realize how people are different. And so we think, if it's easy for me, it's going to be easy for them. Why would this have any value? The thing that's easy for us, the thing that energizes us, is our value. Not everyone is like us. So notice what's easy, where you feel energized, and do more and more of that. It'll be better for you, the listener, and it'll also be better for everyone. It's the way you are of service. So there's one thing.
Nice. Okay.
Right? So for you and I, following that we want to learn and that we want to ask questions and be around other people that appreciate that. Right? So there's one. So that's a bit more, it's your body experience of where you feel energetic and easy, and also a bit more conceptual, like looking for those things. And then the next thing I'll share, it has to do with your body and your emotions. So this is an unusual time. None of us know what's going to happen. So many ways we have no idea. So notice, chances are, inside yourself as a listener, you might feel scared about some things. You might not use the word scared. You might use stressed or nervous or uncomfortable. You might notice that your breathing is shallow, that you're tense. All those are versions of being scared. And there are some tricks in your body, ways that we can move our postures, move our bodies around so that we feel less scared. So the type of fear I'm talking about, so if we're tight and not moving and our breath is shallow, is freeze. And if we're thinking about the future and what's going to happen, what will I do? That's called flee. So if we're stuck in freeze, and I'm going to get up and just share a little.
Good.
It's great to
Okay.
be standing for the listeners, is to do something called wiggle. So just wiggling from the fingers and toes, hands and feet, arms and legs, shoulders and pelvis, spine, all the way up the neck and jaw. So that's one thing. And the second is thinking about things that will happen in the future where we don't know. The antidote to that, or the fear, the way of melting that fear, is to drop into sumo, so like a sumo wrestler. So crouching like a sumo wrestler and thinking about the future from this position as a sumo wrestler. And you can even walk forward and think about what you might want to do. So these are some tips. I learned these from Katie Hendricks. She calls them fear melters. I think of them as antidotes to fear. And these are great ways to get more present in ourselves so we can know what we love and what we want and step forward in that.
Excellent. That is amazing. I can't wait to try this. It's going to be pretty fun. And I'm watching the time, and I know that you have another commitment, and I think we're just about out of time. So I would just like to thank you. And any other quick little 2 seconds things that you want to say before we end?
I appreciate people. There's always something to appreciate in people. And the more that we can appreciate rather than criticize others and ourselves, we'll feel more joy, we'll see more options, and we'll have better connections with each other.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I hope that you enjoyed that as much as I did, and I realized watching it a second time, I even got more information out of it, which is pretty exciting. And the next thing I wanted to segue to was a little bit about inside of our bodies. And let me pull this up, see if this works. There we go. Okay, so what I've been thinking about is how am I eating? What am I eating? Am I getting the nutrition that I need? Because we're talking also about intention and self-care. And B complex, I didn't realize this, but B complex, we need it. We can't get it from, our body doesn't make it. And so we need to get it from food and from nutrients and supplements if that's what it's going to take for some of us. And did you know that B complex helps our bodies to make and support energy and cardiovascular health? Oh, excuse me. Also memory and cell renewal. I thought that was fascinating. And then I'm not sure if you can see this slide or not, but for example, if we're looking at thiamine, which is B1, it helps the body to use carbohydrates and amino acids for energy. And it's essential for energy metabolism and plays a key role in nerve, muscle, and heart function. And who isn't having some nerve and stress and anxiety issues at this point? So I just wanted to share a little bit about that. So B is for B complex because last program we did A for alfalfa. And let's go ahead and listen to, let me switch over here. Okay, so I wanted to tell you a little bit about Amy, who is our next speaker. And she's very fun, very fascinating. So Amy started her entrepreneurial journey as an online retailer, and she was focusing on eBay and Amazon about 8 years ago. And that business created a business partnership. So she was teaching selling online through many different channels, including podcasting, YouTube a channel, courses, and in-person events. And she realized that when she was knitting all of these systems together behind her teaching, that was really her genius zone. So now she's a workflow strategist who partners with service-based solopreneurs to determine what systems work best for them in their businesses so they can get unstuck and scale. Because as a small business person, who hasn't been stuck and trying to figure out how to make something work a little smoother? So the strategies that can help you do things more efficiently in less time, systems, process, and automation, that's all her jam. So let us listen to Amy. Hi, I'm Robin Forster with Feel So Alive Informed, and today I have a very special guest. I'm excited to introduce you all to Amy Friedman, and you're going to see me looking down at my notes periodically. Amy has a very special, near and dear to my heart business because I'm kind of a productivity wonk, more of a wannabe, and she has turned this into a business. So Amy, before we even get started, will you just tell us a little bit about what your business is? Because I just find it to be fascinating.
Well, I help service-based solopreneurs with their business technology, helping them simplify their businesses by using technology so that they can get over the overwhelm and scale their business. Being able to get over that fear of tech, that fear of changing and doing something new is it's my jam. It's what I love to do. People will often tell me, you like to do those things? I'm like, yeah, that's fun to me. They're like, you're crazy. I'll hire you to do that because I don't want to touch it with a 10,000 foot pole.
Exactly. And it's about where I've been looking in my business, and that's how we got connected, because I had some friction in my business and I was trying to figure out how to smooth it out. And so it was so fun to be able to talk to you about that. I mean, to talk to someone who understands. But anyway, we're jumping ahead, and I don't mean to, but I'm just so excited about this topic, as you can tell. So, Amy, would you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you went from your previous business to this business? Because I want folks to know that you can be a serial entrepreneur, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I will give the first little nugget of where this all started, which was my parents are entrepreneurs. But I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. I fought it with every ounce of my being. I worked for other people for 12 years before I landed as an entrepreneur. I got laid off when I was 6 months pregnant with my son, who's now 11. And that was the stopping point for me. It said, I don't want anyone else to have control. I don't want that anymore. I want to have control. And I went around trying to figure out what I was going to do. I've done wedding invitation design. I've done extreme couponing. I've done blogging. And in the blogging world, I landed on somebody who bought things at yard sales and consignment sales and resold them on eBay. I like yard sales. I'd like to make money off of yard selling. Okay. And so I started a successful eBay business. That's slow myself down. And in that, I learned about selling online, selling e-commerce, doing that, and switched to Amazon. In Amazon, the inventory was out of my house, which was the big reason to switch to Amazon. I did Amazon for, almost 7 years. And I, in that time, also partnered with my best friend to teach people how to sell on Amazon. We had a YouTube channel. We had a podcast. We did all the things. We had courses. We taught in-person workshops, all of that stuff. And what I found in that business, in the teaching people, was I loved all of the back-end integration, setting it up, making it all work together. All of the software and tech that went to make that function was fun to me. And it was through that journey that brought me to the business I'm in now, of helping other people set up those frameworks, those systems, so that they can not spend all the time doing the part of their business that really isn't their zone of genius. Automating things, putting systems in place so that you're not stuck with the friction that Robin was just talking about. You become your own roadblock in a lot of ways. And my goal is to help you stop being the roadblock in your business so you can get on to doing what your zone of genius is, because that is where you should spend the bulk of your time. And so many people that I talk to get stuck in the place where they're doing all the other things, and the small portion of what they're doing is their zone of genius.
That is so well said. And I just know in my life, and I'm sure for a lot of other folks also, that, you sit at your desk and you're trying to do something, and you're right, it's not in your zone of genius. And so you're spending 20 times more time than you should be. And it's really a friction point. And it then starts to drive you crazy. So then you get frustrated. And it just seems like it would be easier to talk to somebody who, sometimes I've talked to my husband, and it's not how their head works. So they don't really get helping you find a solution. That's one of the things I appreciated when we first started talking, was like, oh, Amy gets this.
And that's honestly one of the best pieces about having conversations with other business owners. We can talk to our spouses, we can talk to our friends. None of the people in my life outside of my working world have a clue as to what I do and or understand it. So being able to have those conversations with people who get it. And oftentimes what I found, and this is what the light bulb moment in my last business went on, when my business partner said, can we do this? And my response was always, yes, I think we can, but let me go figure out how to do it. And I would get excited about going through the process of figuring out how to do that. And so now I get to bring that excitement into other people's. I'm here. I want to be over here. I don't know how to do this part. And I say, I can help you with that. I know how to get you from point A to point Z.
Nice. That is so exciting. Okay, so it's so easy to get sidetracked with you because this is so much fun, and it's just like, yes, let's go down that rabbit hole. That's fascinating. But okay, so you've told us a little bit about how you got drawn into this line of work. Okay, what are some gifts that you can give to the world? I mean, solo entrepreneurs who are sitting there tearing their hair out. if you can give us some tips and techniques that folks can apply right now, that would just be awesome.
All right. The first thing I want to share is to get out of your own way, because so often the clients that I work with are a roadblock in their own business. And it's oftentimes because they want to be able to figure it out themselves. I should be able to. The I should statement needs to leave your vocabulary. And okay, is this the best use of my time? Am I supposed to be learning how to design a WordPress website? Am I supposed to be figuring out how to set up a Calendly scheduler? Oftentimes we put ourselves in these I should situations because we feel like, at least I know for myself, I want to be able to do this on my own. I should be able to do this on my own. I'm sure that there's something from my childhood that's put that in there for me, but get out of your own way. Stop letting those thoughts of I need to do it myself. That leads me into my second point. My second point is what in your business is currently causing you those friction points, those stuck points? Whether it's you, whether it's hardware that you're using, are you on an outdated computer or outdated piece of hardware that you're using to do what you do? I was sharing with Robin before I got on here, a dear friend of mine who I just had lunch with is telling me how she's still using to design graphics a 25-year-old design program. And I was like, oh dear, I almost feel like I want to buy you a subscription to the Adobe Suite so you can learn something new. And the reality is we have these biases, we get in these stuck points, say this is the way I've always done it, so this is the way I'm going to keep doing it. How well is that working for you is what I'll ask you there. And the reason I go there is because we get stuck in these places. This is the way I've always done it. I'm not even going to look to see what else is out there because this is comfortable. As nothing amazing happens in your comfort zone. So kick your comfort zone to the curb, and that's function in what can be. What technology are you using right now? Whether it be hardware or a software, or what are you not using right now? Did you start your business a couple of years ago and have just kept using the same stuff you used when you started? Because if you're there, it's time to look at what the other options are. It's really hard to scale stuff that you started when you had 1 or 2 clients or 1 or 2 customers or only had a product line of 5 or 10 things. It becomes a completely different thing when you try and scale that. And so looking at what those things are, pushing the comfort zone, saying goodbye, put it over there, put it in the comfort zone on the shelf, let it collect dust because it needs to collect some dust, and looking at what's taking you longer to do than it needs to, whether it be those admin tasks, whether it's a program you're working on that really gets you frustrated every time you try and use it or whatnot. That's going to be my 2 tips for you is get rid of the I shoulds and find the things that are causing friction and see why they're causing you friction.
That is perfect. And it just reminds me of the story that I was sharing with you before about I use Book Like a Boss to schedule my appointments. And it's great. I love it. It works. And they just came out with a new thing, which I was just starting to realize it was a piece of friction for me, but I hadn't gotten to what do I do next. And so what I've been doing, because this whole Feel So Alive Informed program was not planned, no strategy, just I saw a need and wanted to fill it. And so one of the things I have to do is send a couple of emails manually, and you know that because you've been getting them. Book Like a Boss now has that all built in. So I no longer have to send all those extra emails, which is, I think, exactly what you're talking about. There was a friction point. I was just kind of getting uncomfortable with it. It's like, this is weird. And here was the solution. It took Book Like a Boss 2 emails to get me to pay attention to this absolutely fabulous solution that I was already paying for.
Exactly. And the thing that I always do is I think we get stuck in that space and we forget to, we think that that's going to be hard, that's going to be too much, I don't want to spend my time doing that. When in reality, spending that extra amount of time to implement that new thing in the long run, even in the short run, based on what you're talking about, is going to save you more time than you are dealing with this thing over here. It'll save you a ton from that, but it's that 2 hours, 4 hours, even 10 hours you're spending to set this new thing up is going to save you time 10, 20 fold.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that is the key that people get stuck on. But it's going to take me time to set it up. We got an option there. Either you can decide to set it up for yourself, which you can do. There's plenty of DIY stuff out there for almost anything you can want to do. But there's also the hire somebody to do it for you. I don't want to learn how to set up my Calendly or my Schedule Once or my Dubsado client management system. I want it to do this. I want to get from here to here, but I don't want to do this part in the middle. Bring somebody in to help you do that. And oh my gosh, it will be a light moment. It will be amazing for you. And so it doesn't matter where you are in your business, and you can hire for little jobs and big jobs. Everyone thinks hiring out costs an insane amount of money. Let me correct that, because in my last business, we didn't want to hire time and time again. We kept pushing against that. When we finally did, we realized it doesn't have to cost you crazy amounts of money to be able to have those conversations. And sometimes all you need to do is have that conversation to get whatever's rattling around up here in your brain, ping-ponging everywhere, out into the world, into a thing that you can then see all the steps. And once the steps are laid out in front of you, it's a light bulb moment. You can say, oh, I can do each piece of this at a time. When it's a project that's huge, like building a website, for example, huge project, overwhelming, can cost you millions of dollars, not really, but cost you a lot, depending on who you're paying to do it. It doesn't have to be that way. It can be a 3-page website that has these basic components. And once you know what those are, it's easier to deal with each small part of the process. And that's part of what I do, is take those bigger picture things and break it down into smaller bite-sized pieces. Well, you can step through and say, oh, I can take that piece and do that, or I can do this piece and do that, and not feel so overwhelmed by the magnitude of it.
Nice. Yeah, that overwhelm piece. Oh, Amy, this has been wonderful. I'm watching the time. I know you've got another appointment, and so I just wanted to thank you very much, because this has been absolutely fabulous. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been great to be here.
And I wanted to thank you all if you're joining us live or on the replay. In terms of finding us again, we are always on the second and fourth Thursdays, and we're at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Please like our Facebook page, and that is Feel So Alive Marketing Group. And I abbreviated it because who wants to spell the whole thing out? And you can also find us on YouTube, and you can subscribe on YouTube and click the little bell so that you will get notified. So thank you very much for joining us, and cross your fingers that this actually worked to go to YouTube and also to our Feel So Alive Marketing Group Facebook page. Thank you, and let me know if you have a topic that you would like to learn more about. Thanks. Have a good day.